All right, Shalom, Shalom. I'm Arayala coming at you with another lesson straight out of the Lion's Den camp of Yashala. But before I get started with this lesson, I would like to give all praises to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son in their proper true names. And we're going to start off by saying Ka, Halayim, La, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Ha, Rakah, Kodash, Ma'amath. Definitely want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. Definitely want to give double honors to my elder apostle, Aharwan Banyashal of the Lions Den Camp, located right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Shalom to the sincere men, women, and children that believe in sincerity and the truth, and that believe on the names of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. All right, shalom to the Lions Den Camp and to the rest of the elect that's out there, man. Shalom. All right, today's lesson is going to be going into more Lions Den news and prophecy. This is Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right, that'll give you a somewhat of an idea of where we're going with this lesson today. All right, speaking of World War III. All right, the third woe. All right, this is an article from Daily Express US. It says Ukraine war could become World War III as Putin spits in the face of NATO. It says NATO has received a stark warning that Vladimir Putin could target London, Paris, or Berlin following a Russian drone breach into Polish airspace. Several of the unmanned aircraft traveled hundreds of miles into NATO territory, though they carried no explosives. Right, this is like a pump fake, man. This is why I believe why Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua chose Vladimir Putin and chose Russia as a whole, right, to be that head that to come against the dragon, the beast, and the whore that rise upon it, right, coming against the Roman Empire that's pushed by NATO, the EU, and by America. All right, because this man is very strategic, right, and he's not easily to be punked, for better words, for lack of better words, right? They can't. He's not just gonna cower down because of tariffs and stuff like that. And then it's been major talks with NATO and Volodymyr Zelensky of the Ukraine are asking for America and NATO to stop trading with Russia as a whole. And Trump's response was he was just going to hit them with harder tariffs, right? But again, none of that stuff is making Putin slow down or stop. He's in partnership with China, India, Brazil. I mean, he has resources. So that, he's not really, North Korea. I mean, he's not really, Iran. He got resources, man. So, but anyway, so even if NATO and them wanted to stop trading with them as a whole, right, it probably would hurt NATO more and the West more than it would hurt Russia. So like, all right, but it says several of the unmanned aircraft traveled hundreds of miles into NATO's territory. All right, several of the unmanned aircraft traveled hundreds of miles into NATO territory, though they carried no explosives. Right, so Putin out there pump faking, man. Like if you ever know what quarterback does when he pump fake the football to get the team to jump, right? Get the corner back to jump the gun basically, and then he throws it over his head or throws it behind him or something like that. But anyway, it says I believe this was a pump fake move just to get them to basically start attacking Russia first, so that way Russia can unleash all hell like they want to, right? But Russia is strategic, so they trying to play tactics, right? Play tactical games to basically make this happen, right? Because really what Russia, and I said this in the past a couple years ago, Russia's plan is really to take over all of the Europe, right? To take it all back, take over the West, right? And eventually to bring down America. Right? That's the main goal. That's why they started with Ukraine and they're easing their way on up. It's been talks of Finland. It's been talks of different other places, man, that, that Russia has their eyes on, basically. All right, it says Polish Foreign Minister Radosław uh, Sikorski suggested this indicates Russia attempted to test Europe, with without triggering a conflict. Right. So the reason why they did that is, because they wanted to trigger something, right, without it being a direct conflict, but get them riled up to where they want to start maybe trying to attack or send their drones over to Russia, so on and so on. But it says Polish Foreign Minister suggested this indicates Russia attempted to test Europe without triggering a conflict. The news emerges as two NATO countries scramble jets as Russian drones breach airspace. All right, Ukraine's UN representative, all right, Andriy 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 Melnyk. I hate their names. They got the most craziest names. Melnyk, if I said that right, has now indicated that Putin's next objective could be a major Western European metropolis, or potentially the United States. Right, and that's the goal. I believe that's the goal, right, that Russia has in his mind, and I believe Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua put that in his mind. Right. Let's go to Proverbs 21:1, and it reads, "The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will." All right. So the Lord is controlling these kings, man. He controlled just like he did with Pharaoh, right? He controlled the hearts of the kings, and you know, just like in Ezekiel 38, it says that an evil thought was going to come into his mind to come to start to coming against America and the unwalled villages, right? That's in Ezekiel 38. But again, this is all coming from the Most High. The Most High is controlling the hearts of the kings, all right? So all these wars, when it goes into, he's gathering them to the valley of Jehoshaphat, all of that, the Lord is controlling all of them, and he's gathering them to basically judge them. This is why when you read it, Ezekiel 38, the Lord in the beginning of it, it says, I am against thee, O Russia, but he's going to use Russia. Right? He's still against Russia, but he's going to use them, all right, to come against the West. All right. But it says, right. It says, quote, "If this escalation remains without a decisive response, Russia will not stop at Poland," end quote. He declared earlier this week, reports the Express. All right, quote, "Tomorrow it could be drones or even missiles that fall on Berlin." All right, this is back at the article. All right, this is the representative speaking. All right, it says, "Tomorrow it could be drones or even missiles that fall in Berlin, Paris, or London. And the next day, something could even accidentally fly across the Atlantic." Right? And the first thing that came to my mind was Ezekiel 38, man. But that's, the Lord controlling the hearts of the kings, man. Let's go to Ezekiel 38 real quick. I'm going to just skim through it. All right. And it reads, "And the word of the Lord Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog," right? This is Russia and the kings and the people of Russia, right? The Russians, right? Of today, right? "The chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him," see? "And say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaw." See, again, this is the Lord controlling the hearts of the kings, man, right? "And I will bring thee forth," right? And all thine armies, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords." And today's sword is those ICBMs, man. All right, so we have to remember that. All right, and those bucklers and shields dealing with those so-called golden iron domes. All right, those are all today's weaponries and defenses. All right, but again, this is why the Lord has risen up Russia, right? To be a guard unto these other nations, which means the BRICS, China, Iran, Turkey, because Turkey has been trying to leave NATO and join. They've been playing both sides of the fence, really. Egypt, Iran, so on and so on, the whole BRICS nations, right? Um, this is why it goes into verse 5, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, right? And Goma, all these other countries, right? But the Lord is raising up the Russia, right? And Russia is now the president of all of the BRICS nations, right? And the BRICS nation is getting stronger and bigger, man, as they continue to recruit and bring in more countries, right? And they bringing in the top dogs like China, North Korea, Iran, shoot, you got Brazil. I mean, it's not no game, man. All the prophecies are being brought forth right in front of our eyes, Salakia. All right, but as it was saying in verse 4, he had put hooks in Putin's jaws, man. He's controlling Putin, right, to continue building these massive weapons of destruction, these ICBMs, nuclear missiles, right? Now let's jump down to verse 7. And be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, and thou and all thy company. See, and that's the Lord getting him prepared, right, with those ICBMs, getting him prepared for World War III. When World War III is going to be fought with nukes. All right, be thou prepared, and he is. You got Poseidon 1, Poseidon 2, Satan 1, Satan 2. I don't know about Poseidon 2. I misspoke. Poseidon. You got the Poseidon missile, Satan 1, Satan 2, the Tsar bomber. I mean, we have done multiple lessons on the different ICBMs that he has. All right, and this is all coming from Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, giving the authority to Russia and the giving them the mindset to get these prophecies started. All right, what was that? Right, verse 7. Be thou prepared, and prepare thyself for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. See, all right, and after many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, and thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord God. It shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. And that goes into America, right? So again, when Putin and them, right, the BRICS nation is going against the West, right, as well as the state of Israel, he's also going to come up against America as well, man, right? Just like it was stated in verse 8 all the way through verse 11, all right? Right, and what he's going to do, verse 12, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thy hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. See, that's what the Lord is raising up Putin to do, man. All right, let's go to Jeremiah 50, and I'm just jumping straight to the point, you all. I'll just start at 1, man. The point is in 3. All right, Jeremiah 50 and 1. All right, prophecy against Babylon, right? And today is that modern day Babylon, also spiritually known as Babylon, Egypt, Nineveh. All right. It said Jeremiah 50 and 1, the word that Yahweh spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet, right? And that's spiritually the America today. Declare ye among the nations, and publish and set up a standard, publish and conceal not. Say Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded, Marduk is broken in pieces, her idols are confounded, her images are broken in pieces, right? And you're seeing that happen right now. This is why it also says, come sit down in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, right? And basically going into her being exposed, all her idols, right, being exposed. People are waking up to the realization of what the Passover really is, and what Easter really is, and how that leads back to false idols. Same thing with Christmas, and so on and so on, man. Our people are waking up. America is being exposed for their lies. The West is being exposed for their lies, man. All right, the Roman Empire is still pushing that wicked doctrine and that wicked demonocracy, across the world, and it's being exposed, and the Lord is breaking them into pieces right now as we speak, spiritually and physically once He show up. All right, verse 3. All right, and when I say show up, that's when He comes to gather His elect. At the same time, those missiles are going off to destroy America. All right, verse 3. For out of the north, and here's the point, there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall depart, both man and beast. Right. All right, and when you look at Alaska and Russia, they're right by each other. Right. When you looking north from Alaska, you see Russia. All right. So again, rather they coming across the Atlantic or they coming across the top portion. I forgot what that sea is called that splits America, Alaska, which is part of America, and Russia. I forgot what that sea is called, but either way it go, basically it's just a prophecy going into how Russia is being lifted up to come against the West and to destroy America and turn it into a lake of fire, man. All right. Jeremiah 51, Babylon judged for sins against Israel, right? Look what they have done to the Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, who are the true Israelites of the scriptures, right? Native American as well as Seminole Indians, right? These are all the 12 tribes, man. When you go into the history, all right, and the speckled bird, for all the things of wickedness and innocent blood you have spilled on these lands, the Lord has not forgotten that, man. Just like back in Egypt, what y'all did when as far as Esau, Edomites, Idumeans did when we was after we crossed the Red Sea, try to kill off the people that was in the back, the young, the old, same thing in 586 BC, right, when they tore down Jerusalem, right, Solomon's temple. Same thing happened in 70 AD when they tore down that temple, right. The Lord ain't forgot about none of this, man, but you putting your hands on His people, right, touching the apple of the Lord's eye. Jeremiah 51:1. Thus saith the Lord, right? Yahweh, behold, I will rise up against Babylon, right? And this is why the Lord is using kingdom versus kingdom, Satan against Satan, right? Using Teman versus Amalek, using the Russians to go against America, man, and the state of Israel, all right? Using his own people to destroy himself, man, just like the snake eating his own tail, all right? If you ever seen that before with two snakes fighting, the one snake ends up eating itself thinking he's eating the other snake, but he's actually eating himself. All right, but Jeremiah 51:1, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will rise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that rise up against me, and rising up against the Lord as well as to rise up against him is to go against his people and to push lies about him. All right, and to lie about his son, lie about his prophecies, and lie about him even existing, feeling like they even have more power than him. All right, this is all goes in rising up against the Lord. All right, a destroying wind. And what's that destroying wind? Those ICBMs. That's what's gonna burn the chaff, man. Separate the wheat from the chaff when that wind blows. Right, the Lord is gonna gather the wheat, and the chaff is gonna get burnt up. All right, and it's gonna happen via those ICBMs, man. As soon as them bad boys coming down, the wheat is gonna be going up. Lord willing, I'm part of that number. But the chaff is gonna be blown away as chaff, man, burnt up. All right. It says, verse 2, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her enemies that are gonna come against her, shooting her with ICBMs. It's basically gonna be one big ass bullseye on this place, man. All these countries gonna have their missiles locked on to this place. All right, rather that's coming from their missile silos, from their trucks that hold I forgot what they call them, huge trucks that hold ICBMs, land vehicles, water vehicles like submarines. It don't matter, man. This place is gonna get turned into a lake of fire. All right. But it says that's the Lord sending against this place. God can make God, and and the ones He was lifted up with, right? The BRICS nations, right? It says, and will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about, right? Pointing those ICBMs at this place, man. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, right? Going into those missiles. And against him that lifted himself up in his brigandine, right? And what's the modern brigandine today? I was just going in this, and my elder's been going in this as well. My elder apostle, Ahar One, been going into this as well. The Lions Den kept, right? Dealing with the brigandine, right? Today, brigandine would be those iron domes, right? Or so-called golden domes, as well as their drones, any kind of missile defense system that they have, right? Um, Today was more so of a coward's war. It's not like, boots on the ground, men, a big ass army fighting on the ground, and using chainmail and different armor to protect themselves. That'll be their brigandine. Today, it's more so a lot more tech. Damn, excuse me. It's like your technology, right? They use it's a technical warfare, right? So they use drones, they use all kind of robotics, so on and so on, man. They're using satellites, they're using hypersonic missiles, ICBMs, All right, but it says, against him that bendeth let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifted himself up in the brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, just like they did with us when we was in all three times during the time when we was fleeing Egypt, during the time of 586 BC and 70 AD. Right? It says, thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel have not been forsaken, see, nor Judah of his God, or of the Lord, right? Yahweh of hosts, the God of armies, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel, right? So all of that shit that they did, man, the Lord ain't forgot about us, right? You know, he hears us crying out, So he said, look, y'all have not been forsaken, We just got to be patient and endure this shit to the end. All right, Jeremiah 50. No, I just read this. Yeah, this Jeremiah 51. All right, Jeremiah 50, and right to the point. All right, Jeremiah 50:3. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, right? And this is going into Gog and Magog, Russia, right? Which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast, right? In those days, verse 4. Ooh, right, because I don't think I finished. Yeah, Jeremiah 50, all right, right. Verse 4. In those days and in that time, saith the Lord Yahweh, the children of Israel shall come, and they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping, and they shall go and seek the Lord their power. And that's what we're doing right now. The two kingdoms coming back together, right? Understanding who we are as a people, right, and crying out to the true name of our Heavenly Father, and through the name of His only begotten Son, in sincerity and truth. This Malachi 4:1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith Yahweh, right, the God of armies, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch, man, right? So at the end of the day, when that happens, man, they have a sore punishment of 1,000 years slavery and then complete annihilation after that, man. But the Lord hasn't forgotten about His people. The Lord willing, I'm part of that number, man. Because 2/3 of His people are gonna have to suffer along with the judgment of Esau, Edom, and these heathens. This is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. Right. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Right. So all these idols, everything that this country is about, the Roman Empire, the image of the Roman Empire, the image of their idols, their all their riches, all of their everything that's here, man, it's gonna be burnt up, man, right along with them in that day. The Lord's gonna completely destroy this place, man. All right, Jeremiah 50:41, behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. They shall hold the bow in the lands, right? They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. The king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Right. This is why Putin, Trump is like Trump has throwing straight sanctions at Russia. Man, they know what Russia is capable of, right? And they know that at the end of the day, when all hell finally break loose on them, it's going to be a bad day for America and the West. So the West is shaking right now. They knees are shaking. What it says, and his hands wax feeble, right? Dealing with the West and America. They are in major fear right now of what this Russia and BRICS nation has to bring, has to offer, and what they are going to offer up, right? To come against theirs, man. All right. Psalms 137. Remember, O Yahweh, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof, O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed. Right. So just like how they did back in 586 BC, right, when they tore down Jerusalem, tore down Solomon's temple, right? Same thing when they did in Egypt. Same thing when they did in 70 AD. The Lord ain't forgot none of this, man. So the Lord is going to allow His Son to get some get back, as well as His people. You know, um, so at the end of the day, that's why the Lord said He's still against Russia. He's going to use them to kick things off, just to Satan against Satan, right? Um, but at the end of the day, the victory is going to be Yahweh Shai's, right, and His kingdom. Right, dealing with the Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, and the speckled bird. But here's the point. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones, just like they did us, man. You know, it's happy we will be in that day when we see the head become the tail and the tail become the head. Meaning Esau, Jacob held first the heel of Esau. When Esau loses his power and loses his seat and fall like lightning to the earth, right? Um, we'll be risen up in that day under our King Yahushua, and and complete rulership under him. All right, and we're gonna be happy as hell to go gather their ass out of them them bunkers and and put their ass in slavery, But ultimately, the main goal is for us to, be in, for Yahushua to be in rulership and for us to be under him and never sinning again. That's the main goal, right? For our children to grow up as calves in the stall, for us to have immortal bodies and to be pure and to be living righteous, how Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua set it up. Right? That's the main goal, to be in the kingdom, to be worshiping and be in complete compliance with Yahushua. That's the main goal. And whatever he has us to do from there is his will. Rather that's going to go gather them out of the bunkers, which we know is written, right? And rather that's put their ass in slavery, which is also written for 1,000 years. All right, so but again, man, Putin out here pump faking. It's gonna mess around and make them jump the gun. And if they jump the gun, Putin has all right to unleash straight hell on them, on NATO and America. All right, and just like I did a lesson on how that day Putin and Trump met up, and Trump wanted to fly jets over his head, and Putin don't forget stuff like that, man. And that to him, those are war games, war tactics, and he's gonna answer All right. So back at the article, it says the Institute for the Study of War (ISW) observed that Melnyk, if I know I said his name wrong, but also declared that Ukraine shares Poland's view that the Russian drone um, incursion was not a technical error, but rather a deliberate act aimed at escalating tensions and testing the international community's response to ongoing Russian aggression. The Russia knew what he was doing. Vladimir, boy, Vladimir off the chain. Boy. He be straight pump faking out here, boy. But at the end of the day, he still got that laser arm. So when I say pump faking, just talking about football, like when a quarterback pump fake is on, he's still gonna throw that ball, right? At some point, right? But he getting in a jump right now, just like when he, before he calls hike, you know, he might got a long count, make them jump the gun, stuff like that. And it says the representative also, quote, warned leaders that Russia may continue to escalate if the international community fails to respond decisively. And this is him right there, I believe. All right, Melnyk. I'm gonna just call him Melnyk. All right, stated Russia demonstrates disdain for the UN Security Council and spits in our face. He continued, quote, if the council does not act, if it cannot stop this new phase of escalation, we will not be talking about regional instability. We are starting into the abyss of World War III. All right. And it's a lot more to the article, but that's pretty much all I wanted to grab. All right. You know, just wanted to show that, Russia out here pump faking again, you know. But again, they do everything strategically. All right. And again, all this is ran by and controlled by Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. He controlled the hearts of the kings, man. Just like he, had Trump try Putin with that flyby that one day. The same thing. This is all the Lord amping these boys up to get them ready to bring forth his prophecies, right? World War III and the destruction of America and the downfall of the the readvised Roman Empire, right? As well as the state of Israel taking a major blow and them getting moved out the way as well. All right, so Lord, when this lesson was edifying to who it need to be edifying to, remember, stay diligent, stay in tune into the prophecies, stay in tune into the current events. All right. Understand that World War III is coming, that the only way out of it, right, the only way we can eat, right, because we're not taking that MOTB, the only way to eat and the only way to survive it all is to have your faith and understanding to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. All right, so Shalom.